Hey guys, thanks for watching Shutter Effects. My name is Terrence, and today I want to show you how to use a smoke asset that I created in Blender 3D to import it into a project that you might be working on in Adobe After Effects, and some different things that you can do with it to get good results. So first thing we need to do here is just create a new composition. And I've got all my presets here. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and open up my workspace and come up here to File and come down to Import and then File. I'm going to import the files I need to use here, so I'm selecting the background picture and the smoke asset and click OK. It brings those two into my listing of assets to use. I'll select both of those and drag them to my timeline. So now I've got my background here and the smoke's actually layered underneath of it, so what I need to do to correct that is, if you think of these like sheets of paper, you need to layer them correctly to see the other. Okay, so I've left clicked on that and dragged it above the background picture, and now you can see it. And I create these assets with a black background because I found that it tends to blend very well, and I choose that term blend carefully because if you say keying, some people try to use keying and you end up with aliasing around the asset that you're trying to add in, and you get a very dark asset here because it doesn't actually key out the black that's within the smoke itself because of the way that works. That white creates boundaries that doesn't allow it to bleed into it well without adjusting up some settings that cuts into it. So you really don't want to use that effect on this. It's not a very good result, and it's harder to work with. So what you really want to do here, and I'm actually going to need another smoke asset. I'll go ahead and add that in so that it'll be for that second tower. And go ahead and change the control bar color so I can differentiate between the two. So I'll go ahead and select both of them, and then come up here to layer, and you want to select the blending mode. And that's why I said it blends well, is because we're using the blending mode, and you want to use the add method. And what that does, and you'll see that if you've ever tried keying one of these out, you don't normally get that translucent smoke effect. It would be very solid. So this is used an algorithm to blend out that black background to get that smoke effect to look really translucent and blend with the environment that it's in. So this red one needs to go on the second tower in the perspective here, and the one that's colored blue is going to be the one going on the tower in the front. So we'll bring that up there, and just to give it some variation, I'm going to left click on this control bar and flip it over to give it a mirror effect so that they animate differently. And just keep in mind the perspective of what you're working on here. I'm actually going to size down the second one so that it gets a perspective view layered behind that first smoke, just as if the towers are sized differently here. You need your smoke to be offset that amount as well to be realistic. Okay, so when I created the smoke asset, it animates out in real time much faster than what you would expect to see off of one of these towers. And to correct that, you need to change the timing. So let's go into how to change your timing on a animation. I'm going to go ahead and select both of them, and then right click and come up here to time, and then you want to select enable time remapping. And now what that has done, it's added in this stopwatch down here that allows that effect to take place over a period of time, and it's given us some keyframes out here on the timeline to work with. And the way to manipulate this is, if you were to bring this keyframe in, you're shortening the amount of time that that animation will take place over. And it will make it look like the smoke is moving much more quickly. And if you want it to go more slowly, you just extend out the period of time that it animates across, and it makes it animate more slowly. And in this case, that is what we want. To make them animate just a little differently so they're on different frames when they animate out, you can actually not put them in the same exact spot, and they'll animate at different rates, just slightly, which can make it look a little different, and it doesn't look like the exact same thing on the exact same frame all the time. That way you can use the same asset without it being overly redundant. Just a little tip there. Now I'm going to go into something else that doesn't go necessarily with this picture, but if you wanted to use the smoke and you don't want it to animate in a vertical path as it is set up here, for example, if you wanted to use the smoke to come off of the end of a gun or a cannon or something, or whatever else you need smoke to come off of, you need to animate the path of that, say in a horizontal path. You can also change that, and we'll go into that here. So let's use these drop down arrows next to your asset on the timeline, and you want to use the transform handlers here. And if you see here, it even has a stopwatch that you could click on and enable the animation to take place, this rotation to take place over a period of time, but we're not going to use that. And you can change the angle of that animation, so you could set it up at, say, 90 degrees and make it animate, and it's repositioned it in the workspace over there. So in this case, it would actually animate to the side instead of vertical. And you can see how if you were using that for, say, like I said before, a cannon or something, that's how you'd want it to animate. And you can use these assets in many ways. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back. That's not what we need in this particular case, to 0, and I'll put it back where it was. So now you've got some understanding of how to add in these smoke assets. If you see these smoke assets online or here that you're downloading to use with that black background, now you know how to use them, how to position them, resize and layer them. If you guys use something, I'd like to see a video response. That would be great. I want to see what you guys are working on. I want to see that this is helping people out. That's my main purpose of this, is just to help people out. And keep coming back. Subscribe and you'll get all the updates to anything I put on here new, so you can use them in your projects. I plan on keeping everything free, so keep coming back. Thanks guys, keep watching.